This content is an original production created exclusively by Crypto Crime Files. All visuals, narration, analysis, and documentary storytelling in this video belong to the channel. Re-uploading or reproducing this content without proper credit is strictly prohibited. If you share any part of this documentary, you must clearly mention Crypto Crime Files. And now, welcome to another investigation into the dark side of cryptocurrency. In the world of cryptocurrency, there are projects that rise and fade quietly. And then there are projects that collapse so violently, they permanently change the way people see the entire industry. Terra Luna is one of those cases, a project once valued in the tens of billions of dollars that lost almost everything in just a matter of days. But what makes this story even more disturbing is that it didn't start as a scam or obvious failure. It started as a vision of a decentralized financial system, free from banks, free from governments, and free from traditional control. And for a moment, it actually worked. But inside that system was a design that would eventually collapse under its own logic. To understand what happened, we need to understand how Terra actually worked. At the center of the ecosystem was a stablecoin called UST. A stablecoin is supposed to always stay equal to $1. But unlike traditional stablecoins backed by real cash reserves, UST had no direct dollar backing. Instead, it relied on an algorithmic relationship with another token, called Luna. This relationship was simple in theory. When demand for UST increased, new UST was created by burning Luna. When demand for UST decreased, users could destroy UST and receive Luna in return. This mechanism was designed to keep UST stable at $1, and as long as confidence existed, the system appeared to work. UST stayed stable. Luna's price began to rise, and investors started pouring in. But then came the real engine behind Terra's growth. Anchor Protocol, a platform that offered nearly 20% annual returns on UST deposits. In traditional finance, that number is extremely unusual. But in crypto, it looked like an opportunity too good to ignore. Billions of dollars entered the ecosystem, and slowly, Terra stopped feeling like an experiment. It started feeling like a guaranteed system. But underneath this confidence, there was a hidden vulnerability. The entire system was not backed by real assets. It was backed by market belief. And belief is not stable. It changes instantly when fear appears. At first, everything looked perfect. But in May 2022, pressure began building on the system. Large amounts of UST started leaving Anchor Protocol. This created selling pressure on UST in the open market. UST began to lose its peg to the dollar. At first, the drop was small. $1 became 99 cents, then 98, then lower. Most investors believed it would recover quickly, because in their minds, the system was designed to protect the peg. But what they didn't realize was something critical. The system didn't protect stability, it redistributed failure. Once UST dropped below $1, arbitrage traders stepped in. They began exchanging UST for Luna at a fixed value. This was supposed to restore balance. But there was a fatal flaw. Every time UST was redeemed, new Luna was created. And when demand increased rapidly, Luna supply exploded. This caused inflation, and inflation destroyed Luna's price. Now the system entered a dangerous feedback loop. UST lost value, more Luna was minted, Luna price collapsed, confidence dropped further, even more UST was sold. This is what is known as a death spiral, a self-reinforcing collapse with no natural stopping point. Within days, the system began to break completely. Charts didn't just fall, they collapsed vertically. Exchanges began halting trading pairs. Liquidity disappeared, and billions of dollars vanished almost in real time. But even as the system was collapsing, many people refused to accept reality. They continued buying. They continued posting, "Buy the dip." They believed recovery was inevitable. This is one of the most important psychological patterns in financial disasters. When people become emotionally attached to a belief system, they stop interpreting information logically. They interpret it emotionally. And Terra had already become more than just an investment. For many people, it had become identity, a belief in financial freedom, a belief in early retirement, a belief in escaping the system. When that belief began collapsing, denial became the first reaction. But markets do not respond to belief. They respond to structure. And the structure was breaking. As the panic continued, Luna supply expanded into extreme levels. The token that was once worth tens of billions began approaching near zero value. People watched their portfolios collapse in real time. Some lost savings. Some lost life-changing amounts of money. And across the internet, communities turned from optimism to shock, confusion, anger, denial, and eventually, silence. The emotional damage was as significant as the financial damage, because for many investors, this was not just money. It was hope. Hope that this investment would change their lives. And when hope collapses suddenly, the impact is not only financial, but psychological. Meanwhile, the wider crypto market also reacted with fear. Trust in algorithmic stablecoins collapsed. Investors became more cautious. Liquidity across the market tightened. And at the center of global attention stood Do Kwon. Once seen as a confident visionary, he became one of the most controversial figures in crypto history. Investigations followed. Legal pressure increased. And the Terra ecosystem was officially split. A new chain was created, while the original chain became known as Terra Luna Classic. Many assumed the story was over. But it wasn't. The community around Luna Classic remained active. Developers continued maintaining the chain, and supporters began pushing for revival strategies. One of the main approaches was token burning, reducing supply in hopes of increasing scarcity over time. And occasionally, the token still experiences speculative price surges. But the reality remains complex, because even with burns and community support, the original system that created its value no longer exists. The algorithmic stablecoin model is gone. The confidence that supported it is gone. And what remains is a highly speculative asset, driven mostly by market sentiment. So the question becomes, can Luna Classic ever truly recover? The honest answer is nuanced. It can survive. It can remain active. It can even experience temporary price spikes. But returning to its former dominance would require not only massive adoption, but a complete restoration of trust in a system that once failed catastrophically. And in financial history, that is extremely rare. The story of Terra Luna is not just the story of a failed cryptocurrency. It is a lesson about systems built on confidence, about how quickly belief can turn into panic, and how fragile financial ecosystems become when trust disappears. Today, Luna Classic exists in a strange state, not fully alive, and not fully dead. A reminder that in crypto, narratives can create billions of dollars in value and erase them just as fast. And the final question remains open. Was Terra Luna a failed experiment, or the most important warning in crypto history? At Crypto Crime Files, we don't look at Terra Luna as just a failed cryptocurrency project. We look at it as a case study in something much deeper: the psychology of mass belief in financial systems. Because what happened with Terra was not unique in terms of technology. Algorithmic stablecoins have always carried risk, but what made Terra different was the scale of confidence behind it. Millions of people did not just invest in Luna. They believed in it. And that belief created something extremely powerful in financial markets. It created emotional certainty. Once that happens, critical thinking slowly disappears. In traditional finance, investors question risk constantly. But in Terra's ecosystem, questioning the system itself became socially unacceptable. And that is a major warning sign. Because whenever a financial system becomes emotionally protected by its community, it stops being analyzed objectively. It starts being defended emotionally. And history shows us something very important. When belief replaces analysis, risk does not disappear. It accumulates. Another key point in the Terra collapse is leverage through confidence. There was no real-world backing, no external safety net, only the assumption that the system would remain stable because it had always been stable. But in financial systems, stability is not proof of safety. It is often just a temporary condition. And when that condition breaks, the correction is not gradual, it is violent. This is what happened in May 2022. But the most important lesson is not the speed of the collapse, it is the behavior before it. Because the warning signs were not hidden, they were visible, but they were emotionally rejected. And that is where the real risk was. Not in the code, but in the belief. Today, when we look at Luna Classic, we are not just looking at a surviving token. We are looking at a remnant of that belief system. Still active, still traded, still discussed, but no longer supported by the original foundation that gave it meaning. So the question is not whether Luna Classic can return to its old price levels. The real question is, has the market actually learned anything from Terra? Or is it simply waiting for the next version of the same story? Because in crypto, the technology changes, but human behavior often does not. And that is the part of this story that matters most. If you enjoyed this investigation and want more videos exposing controversial crypto projects, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to Crypto Crime Files, where we uncover the dark side of crypto, failed projects, blockchain controversies, and hidden stories behind the market. And remember, in crypto, always research before trusting promises.